Welcome to another episode of AI Spotlight Show. We are live here at AI4 conference here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is the first day of the conference. And today we'll be having our first speaker on this show. And who do we have the opportunity of speaking with today?
Hey, Henry, I'm Steve Toy. I'm the CEO of Memrise, which is a language learning app based in London, England, but used all around the world.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us on this first episode of AI Spotlight Show here at AI4 conference. Yeah, can you tell us about Memrise? When was the company founded? And it would be nice if you can tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, so I'll start with Memrise. Memrise was founded way back in 2010 when it was a platform for helping people just remember things, memorize things, whether they were words of a language or birds of North America or prime ministers of the UK. But it eventually evolved into a language learning app and became quite popular in helping people learn languages. I was not one of the founders. I joined in and became the CEO in July of 2021. Prior to that, the relevant experience that I've had in this space includes I was running a company called Apollon within the IAC empire, where I had a portfolio of 50 mobile apps that was doing 9 figures of ARR. And prior to that, I was at EY, where we were actually deploying AI to do the work of human beings back in 2017. A lot of other experience as well, but that's the experience that's relevant to Memrise. And we came to Memrise here to help them get from their origins of a language learning app like Duolingo and Babbel into what it is today, an AI platform that can do all of the functions that are spread across this entire marketplace.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, before we deep dive into, what capabilities does Memrise offer to its users, what differentiates you guys from Duolingo? What differentiates Memrise from Duolingo?
Well, the highest level, what we do is we help people actually converse in a new language.
Okay.
Duolingo is a great company. They have nailed the gamification that keeps people engaged in learning, and you got to be engaged in order to learn. So, all power to them for doing that. However, most of our users are Duolingo users who have learned the words, the meaning of the words, but they still don't know how to have a conversation. And so we help people get the complete learning experience like you get when you go in country and just survive. And that's what differentiates us.
Wow, that is amazing. Then in simple term, we can say Memrise is a platform that can help users who wants to learn new language easily.
Right.
Like if you are intending to learn French or Italian,
Right.
through Memrise, you will be able to speak Italian fluently. Like having conversation, maybe with a barista if you probably go to a cafe out there.
Right, absolutely. The reality is most people don't want to learn a language as the goal. When we talk to our users, we say, why are you using Memrise? They say to learn a language. When we say, why are you learning a language? Some are learning because they're traveling in the not too distant future. Some have married into an Italian family and they want to speak to their mother-in-law. Some have joined an international company. Some are working in the tourist business in their home country, but getting lots of tourists that speak a different language. Everybody's got a different why, and it's usually higher level than just learn a language. We help those people satisfy their why, not just have a huge vocabulary of words they know the meaning of.
Wow, that is really amazing. Now, let's talk about how many languages can people learn on the platform?
So we have 240 language pairs.
Okay.
So what that means is you can learn a language from multiple other languages.
Okay.
The language you're learning we call the target language. Let's just say English is a target language. You can learn that target language from French or Spanish or Japanese or Russian or Korean and so on. So those are the source languages. So one target language could have many source languages, and that makes many language pairs. So we have over 240 language pairs.
Wow. And can you say these 240 language pairs across the different, continent that we have in the world, like North America? Is there like a language that is kind of conversant in North America maybe in Africa, in Asia, in Australia, in Antarctica,
Right.
in South America. Then were you guys able to make sure you cover languages from different continents of the world?
Yeah, it used to be very hard to spin up a new language. In the 7 years prior to 2024, we only added 3 languages to our platform.
Okay.
But with the advent of AI and our bringing AI into our processes,
Okay.
we've been able to add an additional almost 25 languages since the start of 2024. And that has allowed us to spread out and branch out. So since January of 2024, I believe we've added 6 or 8 African languages, making us one of best products in terms of coverage on the African continent. But we're trailing in some other areas, and we'll look to pick it up. We don't have as many languages as we'd like in India, for example.
Okay. Yeah, because when I checked the platform, I saw Yoruba and Hausa from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I think that is really amazing. Great. Now, there's something that you said, like the benefit of learning new language, what it can afford to individuals. Like someone who is moving to another country might want to settle down there and get a job. If you don't know how to speak the language, it might be difficult for you to get a job. That is a problem that you guys are solving.
Right.
And maybe someone who wants to go and study in France, who doesn't know how to speak French, might be difficult for him to actually have a very sound education in France. But with Memrise, they'll be able to kick off their new educational career. They can also kick off their job career. And another thing you also mentioned is maybe someone who is getting married to a non-English speaking person. With Memrise, the language won't be a barrier in terms of getting married or in that relationship. And I think you guys are actually solving a real human problem or a societal problem. Wow, it's amazing. Now, can you kind of narrow down personal use cases of how people use Memrise, like the most users?
Yeah, absolutely. So we sort of have noticed that our users fall into 2 very broad buckets. And the first bucket is usually people coming from wealthier nations that are learning the language for more what you might call effete reasons. They want to travel, or they want to connect with their coworkers in an international company, or they've married into an Italian family and they want to talk to their mother-in-law. And those sorts of reasons are why many folks in the wealthier countries are learning a language, and the languages they're learning are quite spread out. And then the other bucket is people who want to learn a language to make their life better. Because quite frankly, a taxi cab driver in Turkey that speaks English makes more money, and a waiter in Peru that speaks English makes more money. So there's this group of people that actually want to better their lives. And when that taxi driver picks up the language that they want to learn, they don't really need to talk about Kierkegaard or Nietzsche in English. What they need is the common things that they talk about with the people in their cab. And we can not only get them the ability to converse with somebody, which is very important, but we can hone in on the types of conversations that one practices so that you don't have to spend a lot of time and a lot of cognitive bandwidth with things that you're never going to say in your cab.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, let us talk about the platform. What are those features that you guys have on the platform that are AI powered that helps to give users more better experience in terms of using the platform that are powered by AI? Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So the 3 broad buckets of learning are learning the meaning of words, and then hearing those words by native speakers with their truncation and their accents at speed, surrounded by words you don't know, so that you can decode those words when you hear them in the wild. And then using those words to convey your ideas to somebody else so that they understand you. You need this to get a cup of coffee when you're traveling abroad. So in those 3 buckets, we do quite a few things. In the learning side, it makes no sense to learn words that you're never going to use. If you're traveling but you hate museums, don't learn all the words about museums and art and so on. But if you do love museums, learn those words. So we first use AI to break our dictionaries down into particulate atoms and reassemble them in infinite forms to get you to learn the words that matter to you. So that's a use case in Learn. In Immerse, it used to be we all, in the language learning space, made videos. And we in the ed tech space are not very good at making videos, but we made videos because we had to make a video with the 100 words that everybody learned when they first got there. And that just led to weird videos like the green turtles on the red sweater on the blue chair. And you're never going to encounter that in the wild. So what we started to do is take the infinite videos that are on YouTube and bring them in, break them down to their words and phrases, match them to our dictionary so that we can filter those videos based on the words that each of our users know. So 3 users could have 3 different sets of 100 words, and we can filter the videos personalized to each of those users. Wow. And then finally, we can give them conversations that matter. If you're traveling and you want to order in restaurants and buy train tickets, we can give you those conversations. If you're going home for Christmas and you want to have conversations with your mom about knitting, we can give you those conversations.
Wow, that's really innovative. Now let's talk about the user experience. What are the 2 ways that users can interact, with a platform? Like, I know you talk about text and voice. Maybe you want to,
Yeah, well, so the real trick in personalizing with all this AI is to break everything down into expert constituent parts, or agents, if you will, right? And each of those agents does a job really, really well. For example, like a pronunciation agent. You say a word to it and it tells you what you got right, what you got wrong, how it's not quite like a native speaker. So that agent does a good job well, but it does a job well for you when it asks you to pronounce the word that you're mispronouncing elsewhere. Now you got some context, right? And that context can come to you because we have heard you mispronounce it someplace else, like when you are ordering a coffee. And that is where the coordination comes in. You tried to do this exercise over here, there was a mispronunciation, let's bring you to this agent over here to work on that mispronunciation. So that is the heart of the system. Great expert agent prompts with context that matters to each individual based on their use in the platform, coordinated well so it gets the job done.
Wow, that's really amazing. Then now let's talk about some of the success stories of the users. Can you talk about a few stories of how users maybe shared some feedback about the products, in terms of helping them to solve language barrier?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, probably the most common one that we see, and it's usually the comments that we see with our 5-star ratings in app stores, is I've been trying to learn this language forever. I've got a 1,500-day streak. I know 2,000 words of this language, but I couldn't talk to anybody. And 2 weeks with Memrise, and I'm actually having conversations. I mean, that's the heart of the success story. That's the heart of what we provide, which is not just knowledge of the vocabulary, but how to grab that vocabulary when you need it, say it well enough so others can understand you. That is the heart of our success stories. And that success story gets applied to successfully traveling and not getting the English menu, or interacting with your in-laws, or connecting with people at work, or getting bigger tips in your cab, or as a waiter. All of those things are physical manifestations of a successful conversation.
Wow, great. Yeah, I'm almost done. What do you think is the future of, language platform like Memrise in terms of powered by AI? AI technology is advancing on a daily basis. And the reason why I'm saying this is there was a demo I watched early this year, I think around April or May, a glass that was launched by Meta where you could speak to someone and through the glass it will translate it. Then what is Memrise doing in terms of building, will I say, a more sophisticated, are you guys looking to take your users away from the app store maybe to another device, maybe like glasses or something like that?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that we're working on right now is Amazon Alexa's product, right? So there's many features of our product that doesn't require the use of a screen, such as reviewing words or practicing pronunciation. So we can bring those features to a different device.
Okay.
And because we are a platform, not an app, we can bring the results of those different devices back to the platform. So if you learn a bunch of words or watch a bunch of videos or have a bunch of conversations on the app, and then you go home and then you review some words and you practice some pronunciation, when you pick up the app again, that progress will be recorded there because we're now a platform that can appear in any environment you'd like. We have built prototypes for Meta and for Apple's Vision Pro. We just haven't gotten it to a place where we think it is good enough to be like going in country and surviving.
Wow, that is amazing. And lastly, where can users have this Memrise app download from?
But just go to memrise.com, or you go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and just type in Memrise and we show up. So that's the easiest way to do it. And it's a freemium subscription app. So, you can use it for free and, get yourself conversing in a new language quickly.
Wow, great. Can you give us a glimpse of what you'll be presenting at? I know you are one of the presenters at this AI4 conference. What will you be talking about?
So what we're going to be talking about, what I'm going to be talking about, is how we personalize across 75 million users, right? How do you make a personalized experience? And what I'm going to do is give everybody the key framework for thinking about how they get their domain expertise using AI to their users in a personalized way, which comes down to getting highly specific and capable agents that have context unique to each user, that are coordinated amongst themselves. Sometimes I talk about it in the context of an improv group, right? When you go do some improv, there is a prompt or a premise, like you're running a coffee shop on Mars, right? Specificity is really helpful. If you just say you're running a coffee shop, right? Boring stuff comes out. People will talk about what we just saw in the lobby over there by the Starbucks with a bunch of 50 people sitting there doom scrolling on their phone, wondering why they're so addicted to coffee while they wait 30 minutes in order to get a latte that costs more than a top shelf margarita at home, right? And that prompting, that premise is the first part. And then there's the context that makes it special. In an improv world, the audience yells out things like, your gravity machine broke on Mars, or your boss told you to implement AI in your coffee process, right? And that makes the show unique and different than the show the night before and the night before, and that's the personalization. And then very, very skilled actors who play off of each other and know when to step in and step back out. That's where the magic comes. And that's the framework that we're going to give everybody in the context of many, many different businesses, and so that they can actually take this to their job tomorrow.
That looks like an amazing presentation. Yeah, and this app, is it subscription-based?
It's what we call freemium. So the vast majority of people, over 90% of people use it for free. And then we convert a small percentage of people to paid. And that's how we make money, which is the same way that Duolingo, Babbel, and Busuu, Mondly, Drops, and Rosetta Stone all make their money, as well as video games and the like.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of AI Spotlight Show.
My pleasure.
Wow, this is really amazing. If you're looking to learn new language quickly and very fast, and more convenient way of learning language on the go, just like as he said, if you are planning to travel probably to France, or you are planning to travel to Spain or Madrid, and you think maybe speaking with maybe someone at the restaurant, or maybe you are going there for a business visit, in order to help you take that language barrier away, you want to go to Memrise platform, go to their website. You can download it from Google Store. You can also download it from the Apple Store. Thank you so much for joining this episode of AI Spotlight Show. Yeah, we still have more individuals to interview, more organization. We are still live here at AI4 conference. It's a 3-day conference. Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Thanks for joining this episode.